It has been a hot minute since I've made an Ashes of Creation video. Mainly because I like playing actual video games instead of, you know, talking about thin air. Today I want to change that though, because I really want to talk about the direction that the combat is going in. This last week, we got another banger of a dev livestream showcasing the Bard, which is a class that is pretty rare to see in an MMO nowadays. In the dev livestream, they also said that the highly anticipated Alpha 2 will be delayed until October, which is honestly like a couple weeks after everyone thought it would be anyways, so it is what it is. Anyways, in today's video, I will be showing off some of these Bard abilities, along with showing off some of the cool abilities that I enjoy in every other class they've showed off so far. I'll also be showcasing some weapon things, as well as ability synergies, which I think has the potential to be some of the most fun and engaging parts of Ashes of Creation's combat system. If you want to skip through the different topics of this video, I'll put the timestamps down below. Okay, so going into this showcase, I was really interested to see how they tackled the Bard's playstyle and kit. Even though I don't personally plan on maining a Bard, besides some silly RP stuff that I might do with guitar. We're doing my special thing! It's called Thunderstruck, motherfucker!
This is gonna go so badly!
But anyways, man oh man, did they absolutely nail the Bard in my opinion. First, they went over the melody abilities, which are the typical AoE buffs for your party. They have one that boosts healing received, as well as a small heal over time, a mana regeneration melody, a movement speed buff one, and a melody that gives the party a lifesteal buff, which I think is a pretty cool idea. The final melody ability they showed off was an enemy debuff that makes the enemies in the area take 10% more damage. They also showed off two passive choices that you can pick to either play two of those melodies at the same time, or make it so the longer you play one melody, the stronger that the buff will get. I feel like these melodies are the main reason you'll want a Bard in your party. And Bards are, you know, vibey and stuff too. Okay, I'm gonna veer off and go on a little yap sesh here. One of the main reasons I'm excited about this MMO's combat is there seems to be an actual sense of class identity. I was an ESO player, and every year it seemed like the classes would blend more and more into each other. I mean, half of your abilities were basically the same as everyone else's. Every class could heal, and all the classes pretty much had the same exact buffs. In Ashes, it won't be that way, and you'll feel a need to have different classes in your party, such as the Tank, the Cleric, the Bard, and different DPS archetypes for different scenarios. Anyways, back to the Bard. Up next on the Bard is a really nice movement ability. It looks like you can whip this dash around pretty smoothly too. That kind of freedom and movement with some of these abilities is what I really love in Ashes of Creation. And you will see things like this in other class kits later on in the video. Speaking of freedom, some of these abilities can be cast at the same time. They showed this feature off with a movement ability and one of their dances that gave the party shields and some off heals. The next dance was another movement speed ability that stacks with the movement melody. As you see here, they're absolutely zooming.
Okay, hold on. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my goodness! That is so good.
After that, they showed off a dance that mesmerizes the target. Usually, a mes target gets unstunned after taking damage, but if you pair it with this dark lullaby ability, the final hit of this will make them be stunned for even longer. That one might be a little busted in PvP, but don't worry, everything is subject to change. They're a little early in development here, so balances will hopefully happen. The final dance was an AoE damage over time that also debuffs opponents. I personally love the way all these dances look and seem to feel. The devs also showed us some abilities that weren't in the melody or dance categories. Starting off with this knockback skill that seemed like it needed a knockback buff. It was maybe knocking them back about 2 centimeters it looked like. They then showcased a dual purpose ability that heals targeted friendlies and damages targeted enemies. For these last couple abilities, I won't go over what they do, but I just want you to focus on how good some of these animations look.
Oh, how cool is that? All right.
Oh yeah, so you can give it to, yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty significant. So that's giving you 25% faster casting speed and attack speed.
Yeah, it's kind of just an extra little damage ability just to give the bard some more damaging spells.
Oh my god!
It's a huge area.
Yeah, that is so great.
Although I won't be playing much of the bard, I think they did an outstanding job with the kit. And it genuinely looks fun to play, and I'm happy for the bard mains out there. I mean, this Dragon Storm ability might be the coolest ability I've seen in an MMO. I'm not joking. Okay, so that covers the bard, but now I want to show you some of my favorite abilities from every other class that they showed off so far. Starting with the fighter. The fighter's kit has some really nice mobility, with a dash attack and this badass leap. I can definitely see myself playing a fighter, leaping into a group and causing absolute chaos. The fighter also has some really cool looking AoE abilities, such as this sword projectile one and this earth shattering one that you can control where it lands as you are casting it. Another really nice sense of freedom in that ability. On to the Cleric, the main healing class in AOC. The Cleric obviously has many different heals, but here are some of the ones that I thought were really stellar. Starting off with this charge up heal that heals the more you have it charged and the lower your target's health is. A very cool little mini game you can play there to maximize your healing, but also you don't want to cut it too close or else your tank might die for it. Another thing you can do while charging that heal is use another one of these flash heal abilities in between, which is yet another sense of freedom in these class kits. I'm so excited to see how high the skill ceiling in this game is with the usage and timing of abilities like that. Another couple of Cleric abilities I want to show off here is this heal that is a close range wave that can also damage enemies. Also, the Cleric doesn't have as much mobility as other classes, but it does have this really nice dash heal that looks pretty versatile as well. Next up on the list is the tank. The tank seems to have very powerful control type abilities as well as your typical threat and mitigation abilities. Some of my favorites are the bubble, which converts some of the damage your nearby party members take to you. Then there's this wall ability we saw in the Node Wars livestream, and this tether ability from the Caravan Showcase. It seems like the tank will have many different playstyles depending if you want to be more control oriented or more tanky mitigation based. Speaking of different playstyles, it sounds like no one class will be the same. You can't get every ability and every ability passive with the available skill points, so you'll have to make some tough decisions on how you want to play. On top of that, there will be ability augments, which we'll get to later in this video. The Mage's kit seems like the best and most versatile DPS based kit so far. In the Mage's kit, we have various elemental abilities as well as some utility skills such as a teleport and a slumber ability. The coolest abilities in the kit in my opinion are these, however. Starting with this blizzard one. I mean, come on, this is amazing. You're just a walking snowstorm. And yet again, you do have this small amount of control over your character, even with an ability like this. Another cool little mechanic they showed off with their chain lightning ability is how it can curve around objects in the environment. One of the main reasons I have faith in this game, as well as the direction of the combat, is that they have these development streams that literally just show the progress they make towards these class kits. A couple of months after the Mage Showcase, they did a nighttime stream and showed some progress on some of these skills, including this ball lightning spell that the community was harping on. Going back even further, just look at how the Alpha 1 combat looked a few years ago. They really do listen to the community and actually care about what we think, because they're just gamers trying to make a good game instead of being greedy and just wanting our money for an easy cash grab. Or at least, I hope so. Alright, finally on to the last class, the Ranger. The Ranger has some of the typical snipes and headshot type abilities, which by the way look amazing still. But two of the really cool abilities that caught my eye were the hunts and the movement skills. Starting off with the hunts, these skills are cast on enemies to debuff them, but there can only be one active at a time. These hunts can also be cast at the same time as one of these charge-based skills, which is really cool. Now, on to the other mind-blowing skill, a literal airstrike ability. This one shoots down rooting vines, and the movement of this skill is insane. The freedom of this skill, if you will. America. You can use this ability to traverse canyons and shit. And the steering capabilities, it's just chef's kiss. The devs are doing absolutely amazing work on these class abilities, and the Rogue and Summoner are still yet to come, and I am genuinely so hyped to see how they make those classes. Now that the main portion of this video is done, let's get into some other combat and class mechanics, starting with synergies. This is the mechanic that I am most excited about because it promotes teamwork and comboing, and I love that kind of stuff. Here are a couple examples of synergy, starting with this Cleric skill.
Alright, I set them up for a stun. Nice.
Perfect. Now talk to me a little bit about why that stun just happened.
I set it up with Whirlwind, and it applies these staggered effects, and Chains of Restraint will stun any targets under the staggered effect. So right now that's one particular synergy, but in the as the game continues to come together and you see more and more abilities, there will be all kinds of ways to set up that that outcome.
As you see, this synergy can be used with any kind of stagger, which I'm sure will be in multiple class kits. You can also synergize with yourself. We saw that Bard synergy earlier in the video, but here's another cool synergy with a Mage, where he hits them with enough frost spells to have a frozen debuff that can then be shattered with an electric spell for big bonus damage. There are many other synergies, but those two are my favorite. Getting into the next part of this video, I will be talking about the weapons. As of right now, any class can use any weapon, but obviously you probably don't want to be a ranger with a sword and board or a fighter with a spellbook, but who knows? Something crazy like that might be meta once the game comes out and the nerds like me start fiddling with wacky builds. Weapons also have their own skill trees and weapon combos that a player can utilize. For now, I'm going to only show you this wand combo that creates this badass beam. And apparently with the Mage, this beam will change elements and the actual color of the glow that the wand gives off depending on the last spell the player casts. It literally looks like something from Harry Potter. I imagine later down the line that there will be a lot of cool weapon things to customize and fit in a player's build. The last thing I want to talk about is the 64 class system. That's right, 64. How this works is you choose one of the 8 base archetypes, and then at level 25, you can choose another one of those same 8 to pick your actual class. This unlocks the ability augments, which alter what your base archetype skills do. They haven't showed any of this off yet, such as if a fighter has a dash attack that does physical damage at the end, if he picks Mage as his secondary class, he can augment that dash into a dash that has a fire damage over time at the end instead. Each class is said to have schools of augmentation that you can utilize. The possibilities for this system alone are crazy to think about. And this system can also tie into the synergy system as well, because it will open up different buffs and debuffs that your character can do. Here's the full list of class names with all the combinations players can choose. And I mean, there are some really cool class names on here. Dreadnought, Blade Caller, Warden, Cultist, Shadowmancer, Necromancer, Soulbow, Soul Weaver. Like, wow. I am just so excited about this game. I could probably yap about it all day. My main concern was how the combat would look and feel. But with the direction it seems like they're moving towards, I feel really good about the future of this game. And I think it may just become some of the best combat in the MMO genre. Also, one final note that I absolutely love the devs for is that they are not allowing add-ons or macros as of right now, which I am a big fan of. I mean, just play the game yourself, you weenie, okay? The boss is gonna hit in 3 seconds, right here. So move type of shit. Like I'm just a hater of add-ons like that. Okay, but I digress. Also, real quick, here's a list of all the systems, PvE and PvP, that you can use these combat abilities in. So there is gonna be a lot of stuff to do. Also, by looking at the footage, you can see that both tab target and action combat are used in this MMO, which I'm really a big fan of. When Alpha 2 drops, you guys are gonna see me absolutely no-life the shit out of this game, stream-wise and YouTube content-wise. So if you want more Ashes of Creation content, be sure to comment on the video and check back later in the coming months. Until then, I have no clue what the hell I'm gonna do.